Hello and welcome back to the NFL DFS Slate Breakdown for the main slate week 4. I'm your host, Tyler Weeman, going to be breaking it down for you guys. But before we get into it, come join us at LineStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do, the props, the DFS, the best ball. You get it all. One low price for all the sports on every platform. Both the mobile apps, Android, iOS, the website. You get it all, one low price, or just step up for the whole year. Get the rest of this football season, the beginning of next, get all of NBA season for what breaks down to only $19.99 per month. Paying it in a one lump sum of $240. Now, we also do have a free trial, so feel free to come try us out. If you've never tried us out for free, just download the app and try us out there. All right. So we got a lot to cover, as we always do on these NFL main slates. There's a ton of different ways we can break down this slate. As you guys know, I always like to start off by a little bit of an overview. Now, we have some games that we definitely want to target here. A few of the higher game totaled ones: 47.5 for Saints versus Bills, 44.5 for Eagles Bucks. Then 49.5 Colts Rams, 46.5 for Jags 49ers, 47.5 for Bears Raiders, and 48.5 for Chiefs and Baltimore. Those are definitely going to be where the majority of my ownership comes. And then the faster games of the week, it's not often that pretty much all of them are, all of them were also the higher game totals. So the fastest game of the week looks like it likely is going to be Bills versus Saints. Saints just play at an incredibly fast pace. You know, they do a lot of no huddle and just snap after snap comes. And in a game that they're likely trailing, it's only, more likely to happen. Then we got Bears versus Raiders and Colts versus Rams. Now, it's interesting that those game environments are some of my favorites. The Ravens Chiefs aren't too far behind the Colts Rams as far as speed either. And that's one that can really take off. I think this is an interesting week to game stack a couple of these, because there's absolutely outlier potential with some of these games. Thank you, Josh, for showing up. Absolutely appreciate it. And thanks for your comments. Now, let's break it down position by position a little bit. Nothing really weather-wise to cover, so we can just get right into it. Luckily, it's still, fall time, so we don't have too much to deal with on that aspect. But getting over to the quarterback position, starting with high-owned Justin Herbert. He's 6,300. Geno Smith, the second highest owned, and Daniel Jones. Now, I do think this Herbert play is interesting. I think this game, the Giants versus Chargers, is going to get a lot of interest, a lot of ownership. We have a lot of people that want to play this game. The Giants have a tough front, but their secondary is definitely beatable. I understand why people want to go Justin Herbert. My issue, it's not the fastest game of the week. We got a brand new quarterback, which on the Giants side, obviously, and it's not like the Giants are just going to be like, hey, here's the keys, Dart, go, throw it a million times and try and win us the game. They are going to play conservative with him. Try to teach him the game slowly. It's interesting that they picked the Chargers, a very tough defense, to be the first shot. But that just goes to show me I don't think the Giants are going to push the pace, and we know the Chargers don't really want to push the pace. Now, they have been passing much more than expected, and I think Herbert's fine. I do believe he is more of a cash play than a ceiling option. And that's my only worry with Herbert. All in all, as far as the matchup, 272.7 passing yards per game is what the Giants are giving up, and 1.3 touchdowns per game. They're 26th in the league. Obviously they're not great. And then Herbert has been solid. 286 a game, 2 touchdowns a game, throwing in 23 yards rushing. If we go to the team defense tool, Herbert is, not necessarily high on the list here. So I don't mind Herbert. I think he's fine. But it's not a spot that I absolutely love. We have them 8th versus quarterback. Now, reminder, there's only 3 games, so our team defense tool isn't totally locked in yet. So take that data with a grain of salt. You can consider it, but don't go all in. Next, we got Geno Smith, 5,400, one of the faster games of the week, one of the higher totals of the week. And I'm absolutely interested in Geno. I think people are going to rush to try to play Geno. Bowers looks good. Myers looks good. Trey Tucker just went nuts. He can definitely do it again. And this is a spot that looks like it is a good one. Chicago ranks 24th, allowing 1.8 pass touchdowns per game over the last 9, 250 or almost 250 yards a game over the last 9, ranking 26th. And so far, Geno's been fine. 277 yards a game, 1.3 touchdowns. If they are behind, that pass rate likely comes up, and I don't mind going here. It's a cheaper stack with upside in a game that could take off. So I'm fine having some Geno. The Bears this season are ranked 30th versus the quarterback, 256 yards per game. And 2.7 touchdowns. Josh, we will get to Jackson. Absolutely. And I'll let you know my thoughts once we get there. Then we got Daniel Jones, 5.6K, 18-point projection from us on him, 14% owned. And I really like DJ here. Good old Indiana Jones, 4-star alert score. The Rams have allowed a lot of passes. They can play an aggressive type defense, and if they're not getting after the passer, then big plays can happen. And I also think there's some cheap stacking partners here. We don't have Alec Pierce. He is out, which means A.D. Mitchell's going to play, who's super cheap and interesting. Josh Downs is all the way down to 4K. Pittman is obviously interesting. And then Tyler Warren has been a beast as a rookie. There's a lot of different ways to go stacking this game. You can even throw Jonathan Taylor as a stacking partner because he is getting, I think it's 2.7 receptions per game so far. Say he gets to the higher side 3 or 4, and one of them is a long passing touchdown. It could pull Jones and Taylor up there. I'm definitely interested in going here. We just saw Jalen Hurts go nuts versus them, and I don't mind going back. Now, the stats on the year aren't all that great versus the Rams, but outside of Philadelphia, the Rams haven't played too much offensively. I mean, this Houston, they played, offense looks terrible. Tennessee, they played, offense looks terrible. And with all of that, they're still allowing 200 or 196 yards and 1.3 touchdowns again, which is 15th in the league. I think there's paths to beating this defense, and Daniel Jones did it against Denver. Why can't he do it against the Rams as well? Now we can get into some pivots here. 11% owned Caleb Williams. He's not a full pivot, but at 5,800, I am interested at here. And the way I think this game really goes wild is if the Bears strike first. We know Pete Carroll does not want to come out just slinging the ball. To get that to happen, Caleb likely needs to make something happen. The Bears likely need to push the pace early, and I think they're going to have trouble running. They haven't been able to run against anybody, and this Raiders D has been a little sneaky against the run. And Raiders giving up almost 250 yards, 1.3 touchdowns per game. They're ranked 23rd. They're allowing rushing yards to the quarterback, which we know Caleb can absolutely do. And Caleb's been solid. 2.3 touchdowns per game, and Ben Johnson will absolutely step on the gas and try and bury the other team. So I think Caleb is an interesting play here and one of my favorites. Next, we got Josh Allen, 7,700, 19 or 9% owned. The implied total for them is 31.5, and people don't want to go to the Bills. Now, I understand it. I get it. The huge must-have ceiling games from Josh Allen happen in close, crazy blowout shootouts where both teams are scoring 40 points. That's not likely to happen. But 7,700, we could get 25 plus. He can, pass for 3 touchdowns in the first half and at low own. I don't hate it. My issue with Josh Allen is you never know who to stack him with. We know he's a great quarterback. This implied total is huge. So we need to consider some Bills pieces. Is it Allen with some stacks, or do we just try and go to the running game? Maybe the running game is the way to go here, but Josh Allen needs to be at least considered. He is not my favorite play, but we got to talk about him. Next, we got Lamar Jackson. This is one of my favorite games of the week. I am very interested about Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes in this game. Both teams 1-3, both teams Super Bowl aspirations, and at 1-3, they are worried about making the playoffs. Both of these guys may have to go into a mode where they are trying to win, that they're playing like a playoff team. They're also big rivals, can see each other, far in the playoffs every single year. So I think it stacks up super interesting. Now, the Chiefs will absolutely bring pressure against Lamar Jackson, they generally bring pressure. And when they do that, we have Lamar Jackson, who is actually elite versus blitzes. So I think it's very interesting. This chess match between the coaches is an interesting one, and there's absolutely chances for Lamar Jackson to get big plays and single coverage down the field. And if we look at what he has done versus KC, 2024 week 1, goes on, puts up 29. 2023 puts up 21. 2021 puts up 37 versus him. There are definitely paths. Now, this KC team, I think they just brought a ton this was the game they brought a ton of pressure, and they tried to sit some guys back, and Lamar ate them up with the legs. Now, we don't really know what this Spagnuolo defense is going to do, but I think Lamar has huge ceiling, and there's multiple pieces in this game that could come with it. So I'm very high in this game, 48.5, one of the higher game totals. Also, like I said, it wasn't in the top 3 fastest, but it is, I think, 5th. There's 11 games, so it's pretty middle of the road, but it is at least on the upper side of that. Now, on the same game, we got Patty Mahomes. He's down to 6K. Now, Mahomes does have rushing upside, and we see it come out in close contested games. 66 yards and a touchdown versus Philadelphia. 57 yards and a touchdown versus the Chargers. Those were both losses. Those were both situations that he needed to try to put his team on the back and win a game. And the Ravens D has been so beatable. I don't love going against the Kansas City defense with Lamar, but he can beat them, and I believe Mahomes can beat this Ravens D also. They're also getting Xavier Worthy back. There are some questions on how much he will play, but he is another weapon for Mahomes. He does make stacking a little more difficult, but it's another option, and Mahomes' upside is obviously huge. We know it. It is another way you can go. I kind of prefer going the Lamar way, but you can absolutely make a case for Patrick Mahomes, 1 or 2 pass catchers, and then pull somebody from the other side, be it a King Henry or something. And Jalen Hurts. We talked about him last week. He put up a 30 burger. Now, this is another situation where generally the Eagles need to be pushed a little bit to really open up this passing game. That's what happened last week, why they put up 33 points. Rams punched them in the mouth early a little bit, and the Eagles came back. Now, the Bucs are a little bit hurt, so maybe they can't do it. There's no Mike Evans, but Tristan Wirfs might come back, and Chris Godwin may come back. Wirfs coming back would be a giant help. Maybe Otten, is a little more available for some passing, but Tampa Bay can make something happen, score a couple times early. I do think that the Eagles will have to come back and fire with AJ Brown and the receiving assets. The thing with Tampa Bay, they will also bring pressure. They will leave guys in one-on-one coverage, and that is when it really opens up for AJ Brown. And with that, Jalen Hurts. I'm absolutely interested in Hurts in this situation. Tampa Bay has just been a pass funnel D for a while. Their secondary isn't terrible, but they just try to get people to pass against them. They take some chances and try and get the big play. I think Jalen Hurts is going to go under-owned, and it's an interesting game, even though it's not one of the absolutely highest game totals of the day, but it is 45 pretty much, and a tightly contested, only 3.5 point spread. So it could be one that goes down to the wire that is very interesting. Tampa Bay has been able to keep everything close so far. And then I like Jackson Dart, not so much because I like him this week, because I feel like we got to talk about him a little bit. I think this is an incredibly tough matchup for him. And I don't think they're just going to give Jackson Dart the keys to the offense, say, hey, buddy, run wild, throw it deep, do whatever you want. But there is rushing upside. And at 4,500, you got to consider it. If he can throw 200 yards and a touchdown and rush for a touchdown, or add 40, 50 yards rushing, then there is a path to being optimal if none of the higher priced quarterbacks go off. So on to FanDuel, our high owned over here. We got Herbert, May, and Allen. Brock is also there. Brock is now starting, and it's actually an interesting one. CMC hasn't been that great on the ground. So you could pair him with Brock, hope for another 10 reception for, 70 something and a tutty. And then if Juwan Jennings or Pearsall is out, both of them are questionable right now. You have, pretty much all of the 49ers points in that three-man stack. So I think that's an interesting way to go. And the Jags D doesn't scare anybody. Drake May, I don't totally hate it. Carolina Panthers D isn't great, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. I do think it might be going a little over-owned. Now, let's get to the running back spot. Abdul, thank you. I appreciate it. She is feeling a little bit better today, so thanks for that. And Keem, as always, let's go. Thank you for showing up. All right, on to the running back room. Now, running back this week is so thin, I think. There's not a ton of plays I like. Marion Hampton, Cam Scattaboo, they're going to get a ton of ownership. They are the low-priced flyers that everybody likes. Hampton versus the Giants. Giants have a fairly tough front. They are allowing 112 yards per game and 1.3 touchdowns. Likely Hampton gets a majority of this work. Hassan Haskins likely going to be the RB2. I mean, he's a journeyman. If Hampton's getting it going, it's going to be his, I believe. And it could be to the point where they don't really want to give Hassan a ton of work if Hampton's ripping off some runs. Now, outside of last week, we haven't seen much out of Hampton, but that was the first time we saw 25 touches, and he definitely came through with it. So could that happen in this spot? Possibly. I wouldn't rule it out. He's definitely one of the guys that I'm interested in. Next, CMC, 8,500. The workload that he's getting, the consistency, it's an obvious, consideration, especially on DraftKings where it's full point PPR. I mean, 10 receptions last week, 6 the week before, 9 the week before that. Abdul, I actually put a MLB video out last night after I put my daughter to bed. I filmed one because I didn't think I would be able to today. There was a couple different plays I liked. So view that. It's just, not in the streams because it was late and I just recorded it and posted it instead of the stream. So thank you for that. So he's getting a ton of work everywhere. He's an obvious one. I don't need to get too much into that. Jags have been solid on the ground, not allowing much, but they can definitely get beat through the air as Christian McCaffrey can beat everybody. Cam Scatterbo, super intrigued by watching him and what his usage will be. Now, I think everybody thinks he's just going to totally run away with the show. Devin Singletary is there. Devin Singletary is a guy they like. He's a guy that they went and sought after to bring in. He's going to be involved a little bit, without a doubt. So don't think that it's going to be like a 70% of the workload going to Scatterbo situation. It's also a tough matchup, but Scatterbo has great receiving upside as well, meaning 3.3 receptions, 29 yards a game. And he's only been the guy for one week where he had 6 receptions for 61. The week before it was 2 for 14, and the week before 2 for 12. I think he is very much going to be involved in this passing game. So regardless of the game script, he's going to be involved. So don't mind him. We'll have some. Kyren Williams, 6,300. Because I like this game, I'm fine getting some Kyren, but he is not typically a guy I really like to play or go out of my way to play. The reason being is he really needs 2 rushing touchdowns to crush you. And frankly, you just can't really count on that happening that much, or he needs, 120 yards and a touchdown. Can it happen? Yes. And I'm fine playing him. I'm just not going to go out of my way. I think he might be going a little over-owned. James Cook, 7,100. It is just wild what he's doing on 40%, 45% of the snaps. And he just keeps doing it game in and game out. They're going to have a huge lead. He's going to have his opportunities. It is a plus matchup. Saints 26 versus running back. I'm fine playing some James. Keem, start Brock Purdy or Daniel Jones. Brock is expected to start. It came out just before we, probably about an hour ago or so. Personally, I'm probably going Daniel Jones. I think Brock is great and he'll probably do fine, but I don't think his mobility will be there. And without the rushing upside, I think there's a little bit higher floor with Daniel Jones, and you still have a similar ceiling. I can't believe I just said Daniel Jones over Purdy for week 4, but hey, that's where we're at. Danny Dimes, Indiana Jones have been great. Saquon Barkley, 7,600. Price is down. It's a very tough matchup. I don't like going against Tampa Bay, but one of the things that I do think is interesting here is he's been more involved in the passing game this year than he was last year, and Tampa has got crushed through the receiving game. So, I mean, it's not out of question that he gets, 60, 70 yards on the ground, maybe a rushing touchdown, and then puts together something through the air as well. So I do have some interest in Barkley. Now, very few other pivots here to talk about. Travion Henderson. We all know that all of the Patriots fumbled last week. Ramondre twice, Antonio Gibson once. Now, Vrabel came out saying Ramondre is not in the doghouse. But I don't care if he's not in the doghouse. Did it just open the door enough to give Henderson some run? It may have. This is a decent matchup. While Carolina has been much better this year against the run than last year, I still have some interest in case it's his job. Now, it's a risky play, but at 5,200, the upside is huge. He is a guy where if we can get 15 touches from him, you know, the ceiling is huge. There's absolutely the chance of, you know, him breaking a big play over 100 yards and a tutty. And at 5,200, I don't mind the sound of that. It's just a risky one because we don't know what Vrabel's going to do. He very well could go back to Ramondre, but hopefully he doesn't. Bijan Robinson, another spot. Don't totally love it, but Bijan is a beast and going totally overlooked. He is almost in the category with CMZ and the top end wide receivers. 27 versus Tampa Bay, who's extremely tough on the ground. We're just talked about. This is a great example against Tampa Bay with Saquon. 12 for 24 and a touchdown, and then he added 6 for 100 through the air. While I think Bijan's a better receiver than Saquon can do this. Saquon can bust big plays left and right. But anyways, Bijan's getting close to that CMC kind of category at super low ownership in a game that is likely going to be close. There's no Mariota. There's no Terry McLaurin. I don't mind having some Bijan there. I think it's an interesting spot. And then you got to talk about JT. Game script we like. The Rams isn't the easiest matchup, but one of the things we talked about last week is Saquon has gone nuts versus the Rams. Now, Rams held him in check last week, but the reason is because the Rams will take chances. They'll go one-on-one on some guys, and that leaves these explosive running backs some room to take one to the house. JT has that ability. He's done it a lot this year, and he has been on a wild run in his last 6 games. 28 plus and 5 of 6. I don't hate going that way. Abdul, I don't mind the over 14.5 for receiving yards. I think the path for Henderson's extra play is absolutely there. I do have questions about Worthy. My issue with Worthy is he's only going to be used in situational stuff. It sounds like. Doesn't mean they absolutely stick to that when it comes down to game time. He's off the injury report altogether. But there is some worry about how much he's going to play. The fact the line is 40.5 too, you got to be a little scared playing him on DFS because they don't want to give him like his normal type line. So that's where I am with Worthy. Frankly, if I'm putting a prop bet out there, I'm probably staying away. For Worthy, I would rather play an alt line, go to 50 or 60 yards, get the plus money, and hope he's playing a lot because that's just the way I do it. Probably bet a little bit less money, get plus money on it rather than just do 40.5 and hopefully goes over. So that's it with JT. That's it with our running backs. One of the things that I thought was interesting with our team defense tool with running backs, everybody at the top pretty much has a question mark or has like a game script issue. Kamara, they likely get blown out against the Bills. Now, Kamara is running a ton of routes. He's just not been involved very much in the passing game. So that might be a Rattler problem than anything. But, don't love him. Quinshon Judkins. It's the Detroit Lions. I mean, I don't expect back-to-back weeks Cleveland is going to get somebody sleeping on them. Marin Hampton, we obviously like. We talked about that. Bijan's there. Obviously like him. Ramondre has questions. And then Kyren, CMC, we all like. All right, getting over to the running back side on FanDuel. We got Cook, Scadaboo, Hampton, Kyren, CMC as the high owned. We have talked about them all. Genty's popping up a little bit as well. I don't hate it. Nobody has really no, the Bears haven't stopped anybody on the ground. They're allowing 121 yards a game, 5.3 receptions, and 30 yards. The question here is, can he put up a score that can kill you? Probably. But I really worry about this Raiders offensive line. It's been horrible. I don't mind if I get a little bit of Genty. I am not going hard on him. That is for sure, though. And let's get into the wide receivers now. All right, we got high owned Jacoby Myers, Puka, Drake London. Jacoby, love the game script, love his involvement. Could be a shootout. At 5,400, he has a very, very nice floor, and we know he has a huge ceiling. 9 for 123 and a tutty, 10 for 121. You know, he can hit that 20, 25-ish, so I'm fine going Jacoby, even at high ownership. Puka, we don't need to get into Puka. Puka's a great play. He is pretty much the top receiver in fantasy right now. You know, there's questions with Jefferson. There's questions with Chase. Questions with really a lot of the first-round wide receivers this year. And none with Puka. Drake London, 5,700. Price is way, way down. Have some interest there. But to kill you, he needs a lot of volume. And we're just not seeing it out of this passing game. And I might be in a situation where I want to see the Falcons do it a little bit before I'm really in on them. One aspect here, he's been much better in domes. If they get behind big, then I might go there. But don't love it. Chris Olave, huge volume. They're gonna have to pass a ton. Can he get in the end zone with this volume? Yeah, I don't hate it. I'm fine going some Olave. It's one of those, the volume's there and the price is right. AJ Brown, I very much like AJ Brown this week. The one thing with him is he is game script dependent. If they have to pass, if he gets one-on-one, he has a giant ceiling. Must have, you know, numbers that he could put up. So I'm interested in Brown. Just understand my lineups with him. I am trying to build the game script around it. We'll have some Bucks players with him because I think the Bucks got to do something for him to really go nuts. Devonta Smith, cheap enough, definitely going to be playing some. Trey Tucker, 4,200. The man that won everybody all the money last week. 8 receptions for 145 and 3. Throwing in a carry for 4 yards as well. I mean, it's a game environment we like. I'm fine taking some bets here on Trey Tucker at 4,200. The ceiling's there, obviously. He's playing an absolute ton, and the Bears defense is extremely questionable. Now let's get into some of the other liked players here. So Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall. I'm going to put these guys together. If one of them is out, I absolutely love the other one. If they're both in, I'm fine playing them. I like both. It's a good spot. Jags giving up 163 yards and 1.3 touchdowns per game to the wide receiver. Most likely, one of these guys is going to get in the end zone, and they both get volume. They both have upside. I'm fine going with either one. Next, we got to talk about Rome. I think Rome is very interesting. We love Caleb. We love the game environment. Rome has been doing it week in and week out. I'm fine going back there once again. Also fine with DJ Moore. Debo without Scary Terry. I mean, it's his show. I'm fine going here. Don't forget about Jalen Lane, though. He is a little interesting and may get some extra run for cheap. Mecca Buka, it's his show. Chris Godwin does likely play, but Godwin probably plays in very limited fashion. Mecca, he's a beast. He's been showing up week in and week out, and he was on limited snaps last week. Not sure if he is this week. I would expect that he's not. But the Raiders secondary has been beatable. So, the Eagles secondary has been beatable. So I don't mind going there. They could just put Mitchell on Igbukah, though, which would then probably open up Shepard, Otten, Bucky Irving through the passing game to make some plays. So I like Igbukah, but I'm not going to solely feature him from that Bucks passing game. Christian Kirk, 8 targets, only 4,400. He's interesting. Don't like this game environment, but at 4,400 with the target volume, I'm fine going there. We talked about Xavier Worthy a little bit. The guy's averaging 71 yards a game over his last 4. It's all about, and that's with a 0 because Kelsey took him out. It is all about how much work he's going to get in this game. That's the question mark. At 5,800, I'm fine having some of him. I'm not going super hard on him, though. Keenan Allen, absolutely in play, especially if you're doing Herbert stacks. DJ Moore, I like him. And Tyquan Thornton. There's some questions about how much Thornton is going to play with Worthy there. The one aspect that I have to throw out there is he is the only wide receiver making plays. I have a hard time believing they're going to take off the one guy that's making plays. And so at 4K, I'm absolutely interested in Thornton. And then AD Mitchell, one of my favorite plays on the slate as a value play, especially with Daniel Jones. Or if you're playing Puka, you can go Puka and AD together. Makes that combined salary way low, and the ceiling on AD is huge. What is most likely to happen on Sunday is AD Mitchell plays the Alec Pierce role and Josh Downs stays in his Josh Downs role. So I think AD Mitchell is going to play a ton, and he is an athletic freak. He can make stuff happen. He was showing up big time in preseason. Absolutely interested in him today. And then Zay Flowers. If you're playing Lamar, obviously he is a consideration. Getting it over to the high-end wide receivers on FanDuel, Jacoby, Igbukah, Odzun, McMillan. McMillan is questionable. Also, Christian Gonzalez could be back for the Patriots. Will make that pass D in this matchup much more difficult for McMillan, so understand that. And Devontae Adams is also questionable. Watch for that news tomorrow. He is expected to play, but he has missed 2 days of practice, so not totally sure what is going to happen there. Tight ends, Njoku, Henry, and Johnson. I saw somebody ask Hunter Henry over receiving yards question. Not sure what the line is, but Henry is, the one reliable aspect for May in the passing game. We have a 4-star alert score on him. He's been doing it week in and week out, and Carolina has got torched by tight ends. Makes sense to want some Henry, and I don't mind going over on him. Juwan Johnson at 4,200. Look, the volume's going to be there. Bills have been very, very tough versus the tight end. So this is probably the toughest matchup Johnson has had yet, but he can get there via volume. Tyler Warren. I'm all over Tyler Warren this week. He's one of my favorite tight end plays. As Dalton Kincaid, if I'm playing Josh Allen, is interesting. And I got to go after my man, Brock Bowers. 5-star alert score. Nobody wants to play him because he hasn't been Brock Bowers yet. Targets are still there. 8, 8, 5. He ran a ton of routes last game as well. It's just that Trey Tucker took all the love. He made it, quick work of the defense when they needed it. And with that, Bowers couldn't shine. I think Bowers is going to be absolutely fine, and this is a great matchup for him. Bears 23rd in the league. And let's get over to FanDuel real quick. Warren, Bowers, Juwan Johnson. FanDuel apparently thinks exactly like I do. And last and not least, we got defense. So high owned, we got Bills, Lions, Texans. Bills are an obvious one versus the Saints. They're going to have to pass a lot. They do the no huddle thing, could cause issues. Bills defense most of the time is not really bringing the pressure. I don't mind going there, not going to go too hard into it. Lions, I'll have some, not going to go too hard onto it. Texans versus Tennessee, I think, is very interesting. And I think Chargers versus the rookie is interesting. And I had, Tennessee versus Houston. Game total is only 39. Tennessee is super cheap. And Houston Texans has looked like one of the worst offenses in the league. So I think you can pay down, hope for some sacks and possibly turnovers, and get over and attack it that way. So that'll do it for us today, guys. Thank you all for joining us. It was another good show. I'm excited for week 4. Please like, comment, subscribe. Do all of that stuff and come join us at LineStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do. Props, the DFS, you get it all. Abdul, Brandon Cooks. I'm not touching Brandon Cooks. I think it's the ghost of Brandon Cooks out there right now. Can he get over 18.5? Yes, but just not my favorite spot. That'll do it for us today, guys. Another week in the books. I will have an underdog video coming out a little later tonight. That one won't be live. I'm going to just record it and post it, but that'll do it. Thank you all. Good luck this weekend, and we'll see you more next week. Peace.